Back on the podcast.
We are back on the podcast.
Woo! Let's go. Today we got an awesome guest that we're so excited to have here. His name is Kyle. Kyle, why don't you introduce yourself to our guests?
All right. My name is Kyle. Man, I don't even want to lead with my age, but I am 58. I live in California. I've got 3 kids, Nash, Evan, and McKenna. My wife is Lily. And I will say, when I'm at a party, and my party fun fact information about me is I've been a best man more times than anyone else I know.
How many times have you been a best man?
So when I've asked that question, I've only known people who have done it maybe twice, maybe 3 times. I've been a best man at a wedding 7 times.
7 times?
7
Wow.
times. Is
That's
that
awesome.
crazy?
That's great.
That's remarkable.
I will tell you too is some of them you expect, and some of them you had no idea. And just this is a slight topic you can riff on, but it just kind of proves to me that you don't always know what's in the mind of that other person or how they see you. I'm like, really? I'm your best friend? Shut up. That's crazy. Right?
Well, how did you get to that point of making that meaningful connection that had you get 7 best men,
I don't know. And we'll get into it probably later, but the way that I interact with the world is whoever's in front of me, I am all about that person. It's never about me. It's never about I'm trying to impress you. I'm not trying to be an expert. It's about you. How are you? And so even as I move through the world, even the barista, right? I'll see her have like a super hard customer, right? And then I'll walk up and I'll be like, hey, that was tough, but you did great. And she will just smile, right? And I'm always trying to drop off these little gifts, right? These little blessings to people because people don't know, right? It could just be, hey man, you're having a great hair day.
Yeah.
Right? And you're having a great hair day, dude. Whatever it is, right? And it's like, it's not me being super generous. I'm like, the world becomes that much more fun, right? Then they smile. Then your latte is a little bit better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then all these things start to start in motion. And I explain to my kids it's just the funnest, easiest way to move through this earth.
It is.
Right? Just that kindness, that generosity, that I'm all about you. And frankly, I'm here at this podcast because I got this phone call. Do I really want to prop myself up? I don't care about that. I'm here to help you. I'm helping you to build a story, help you guys live out a dream. That's exciting to me. You guys chasing your dream, telling stories, that's exciting.
Yeah,
So
and today
that's
we're,
kinda why I'm
telling
here.
your
Yeah.
story today.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's such a great point because I went and stayed in San Francisco and I got, I played for like the decent hotel, not a great room, right? But I got there and I started talking to the guy. I had a great conversation with him, the hotel concierge right there, right, obviously. And I'm like, hey, can I get a cooler view? And maybe you can just find me a cooler view. And he's like, oh, no, I don't think we can. But he ended up finding me a cooler room, and it was just because I had that conversation with him. I talked to him. I was open enough to just say, hey, and be a nice guy. If I came in there all grumpy, he probably would have put me in the crappy room, right?
Right.
I got a great view. I had a great trip. So I think that's just such a cool point that you bring up. But we want to dive into some deeper stuff. We want to learn more about you, your personal life, your background. One thing that kind of stuck out to us was that you went through a significant weight loss transformation.
I did.
Let's just, why don't you introduce that to us, please?
Okay. So all I know is, so I was in the music business for 20 years. And when that ended, probably around 2009, I kind of had to just transition. I had to figure out who I am. And you guys may not understand it quite yet, but especially guys, who we are is our business card, right? And I had a cool business card, and I've worked with you two. I've worked with a lot of different artists over the years, and I was behind Velvet Ropes. And when that ended, and I transitioned to kind of a stay-at-home dad, dude, I had to figure out who I am. And from that point on, the weight just kept coming, right? And the weight just kept coming. And I think I started to lean into, or at least the most insidious phrase, I think, in the English language, I started to believe. And that is, I'm fine, right? And let me tell you, does anyone actually believe, like, the words, I'm fine? Mm-hmm. Trust me when I tell you, right? If your girlfriend or your wife says, oh, go ahead and go out with your friends, I'm fine. Okay? It is a lie. Don't even think about doing that.
Yeah.
It is not true
That is not
at all.
You should stay
you
home.
have a world of hate coming, when you return.
Gotcha.
Right? But I think as I started to live my life, I started to believe I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Right? My clothes no longer fit.
Wow.
I'm fine. Right? I can't walk by a mirror and not hate that reflection. I'm fine. I start to decline all of my social interactions, all my friends who are trying to catch up with me. I'm so embarrassed as what I look like. I'm fine, right? And after a while, so there's kind of three things that that kind of came up, that kind of turned my life around. So the first one was, and it sounds silly, but we were planning a family vacation to Universal Studios in Orlando, and it was like the new Harry Potter ride, right? And the weight limit for that ride at the time was 275 pounds, right? I clocked in at 278 pounds.
Wow.
Okay, so that was 114 pounds ago. And so that sounds trivial, but when you phrase it and you look at it, I didn't want to go on this family vacation and go to that ride and for that cast member to pull me aside and like put me into this chair, like, hey man, can you fit?
Yeah.
Right? Like the
Just a
embarrassment
moment of
of
realization
that,
for you.
dude.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
A big moment.
That was big. Another one was I was starting to fall asleep during the afternoons, and I couldn't figure out why. And one time, it was around 7 p.m. or something. I woke up in the middle of an intersection, and I don't know how I got there, right? And so I'm like literally waking up, and all these lights, these car lights, are like flashing at me, and I don't even remember how I got there because I fell asleep at the wheel, right? Luckily, I'm alive and I'm good. So I get it checked out, and I have sleep apnea, and I go get tested, and they put all these wires on me and stuff, and they get me all checked out, and then the doctor comes and tells me, I'm like, hey, you definitely have sleep apnea, so I'm gonna get you a CPAP machine and it'll help you breathe and whatever. I'm like, dude, I need you to slow down, right? I need you to tell me, like, is there a score? He's like, okay, so 0 to 15, you definitely have sleep apnea, it's mild. 15 to 30, it's not good. Okay, cool, what was my score? Your score was 112.
Wow.
So what that means is it's not like a scientific equation. Is 112 times a night you stop breathing.
Wow.
Jeez.
Dang.
That's crazy.
So listen, and so with these kind of wake-up calls, you start to realize that I'm fine doesn't mean I'm fine. If you want to replace it with one word, this is I'm resigned, right? I'm resigned to my life. This is as good as it's gonna get, right? I can't get any better. I can't change it. And I'm just resigned, right? And eventually, after all these things kind of happened, it just wasn't good enough, right? I used to snowboard a lot, and I used to do all these things, and I missed my life, man, and I wanted it back. So I've tried to learn a lot of, like, I tried to lose weight many times before, and I just was not able to do it, right?
And let me cut you off for a second. What age was that big?
So
the
this was
278? How old were
2009.
you at that time?
2009, I was in my 40s.
In your 40s.
Like 45, yeah.
Wow.
Something like that.
When it was at its worst.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were pretty active before that, as you were saying, snowboarding.
As I started to put on the weight, no, all those activities went away.
So talk about that. Why did they go away? Was it the sadness? Was it the habits? What brought you to that bad spot? Because you're out of it now, right? And there's so many people who are still stuck in it.
Yeah.
So what brought you out of that would be my question. And what was the build up to it? It's kind of a double-ended question.
So I think that, again, you start to believe it, right? I was resigned. I absolutely thought there was nothing I can do. And when you're in a prison cell with 4 walls, no doors, you just can't see a way out, right? I knew that for me to get healthy or whatever it might be, like 100 pounds was a goal. And dude, that is a mountain you can't even get your head around.
My God, I couldn't imagine.
You can't.
I couldn't
That's
imagine
not
that.
something to bite off, right? And so, talk about snowboarding, and we can talk about one-wheeling a little bit later too. But I snowboarded 20 years without a helmet. I just never did. It wasn't a thing, right? We had a beanie, and that was good enough.
Yeah.
But when I started to one-wheeling on pavement, like, hey man, you got to wear a helmet. And I'm like, dude, I've been snowboarding forever. I don't need it. And one person sat me down and said, look, you don't wear a helmet for you. You wear a helmet for everyone who loves you. And like, dang, right? And it was the same thing with weight loss, right? I never thought I could lose the weight. But if I was to keep going down this road, I couldn't guarantee that I'm going to walk my daughter down the aisle. I could not have that. My kids need a father, right? My wife needs a husband, right? And it's not about me anymore, right? So when I embarked on this journey, it wasn't about me anymore and my own vanity. It is, I need to do this for the people who love me. And so I needed to show up.
That's awesome. And I think what's so great about that, and another guest of ours brought that up, is that being selfish and making good health choices and good diet choices isn't about just you. It's about your family. It's about walking your daughter down the aisle. It's about being a good husband, a good lover, right?
Right.
And I can see how this kind of makes you emotional even just thinking about talking about it.
Absolutely.
I can tell how deep this is for you. But let's go back into, so how did you get out of it? What was the solution? I think that's one of the most powerful things we're going to get out of this conversation is how did you go from 278 to, what's your weight now, if you don't mind
160.
saying?
Wow.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. So tell us, how is that possible?
So I think it's not a how-to necessarily. It's a mind shift, right? And I tried to lose weight so many times before. And sometimes I think that we focus on trying to have the right answers. And I think sometimes you start off with the wrong question. And I was trying to lose weight, and that was never the problem, right? I needed to get healthy. So instead of losing weight, I focused on gaining health. And that was a huge shift, right? We talked a little bit earlier, losing weight and trying to deprive yourself sucks, Okay? Not fun at all. I can't do anything fun. I can't eat anything good, right? I have to eat broccoli and, chicken breast with no anything on
Seasonings,
it, just
everything, yeah.
some pepper.
Grilled.
Pass. Right? So I will tell you, losing the weight is a big deal. What is an even bigger deal is I lost 114 pounds, and I finished up around 2012. What year is it? 2025?
Yep.
I'm the same or less. I actually know the odds of this is people who have lost weight, a significant amount of weight, and they say significant is anything above 30 pounds or more. The people who have actually held it off for a significant period of time is 4.7%, right? Losing the weight is not actually the hard part.
Staying.
It's maintaining and keeping it off, right? And what I've been able to do is I was able to build a life that I absolutely love, right? And so people are like, hey, man, are you worried about it? Are you worried about going back? I'm like, dude, why would I go back? I'm like living my best life possible, and it's one that I've created and fashioned to where I can live my best life possible and I can go have fun. If someone says, hey, man, you want to go run a 10K tomorrow? I can probably get that done, right? So I can say yes to all these different things, like a podcast, like a whatever. And now I have that ability. And so building a life was what I was able to do, right? Losing weight is a part of that, but it was never the main goal.
You're at 278. Can we show a picture of what you look
Absolutely,
like?
please
Okay, guys,
do.
so take a look right now. We're going to show a photo of Kyle at his biggest weight on the camera right now. Check it out. And now we're going to show what he looks like now. So this is what he looks like now. Insane. So you said that was 12 pounds that you lost?
114, 120-ish. I don't know.
What was the
somewhere around.
duration? Like how, like what?
So it took me 2.5 years.
Okay. So
and
it wasn't instant.
It was not
Okay.
instant. And I will tell you, most people who are trying to lose weight, 2.5 years is too long, right? But I will tell you is I never had weight loss as a goal, right? I was trying to ensure that I'm going to be there to walk my daughter down the aisle. And so if the weight came off, great. But at very worst, I'm going to be the healthiest fat man you ever did see walking my daughter down the aisle. But I am going to be there, right? And I am not going to miss it. So really, that goal was good enough for me.
So your motivation was health, not losing weight.
It was, yeah, dude.
Okay.
And I wanted a full life, right? And what I love about you guys is you guys are chasing passion and you doing things that are important to you. I want to do that too, and that is not age specific, right? I'm doing things and I'm building things now in my 50s, and I never want to stop, right? I have a growth mindset. Right? I want to be better tomorrow than I am today, even now, right? And it's not just someone who's straight out of college, right? Not good enough, right? I want to have fun. I want to have experiences. I want to do the things that everyone wants to do, right? But for me to be able to do that, I have to take care of my body, right? I have to pay attention. I have to get 7 hours of sleep. These are things that are non-negotiable that I have to do for myself, but it allows me to do the things that I want to do.
That's amazing.
That's a great way you put it. Like people always focus on losing weight or how can lose weight. They take all these pills to lose weight.
Fat loss hack, Ozempic, all that jazz.
And then they forget that what's the goal, like you were mentioning. The goal is to stay healthy.
Right.
It's not to lose weight.
Right.
And once you start focusing on that, I think you start making all the right choices.
Right.
And that losing weight is just the end goal. That's just the icing on the cake. But the process that you took on, where staying motivated, having healthy food, staying healthy, having that change of perspective, I think, is the way to go. I would say, right?
So let me say this. You can't start this process by hating yourself. You cannot. You have to learn to love yourself, right? And you have to start from day one, right? They say that if you guys have ever been on an airplane, and they say, well, if the pressure in the cabin drops, right, put on your mask first, then put on the mask for the child or whoever you're caretaking for. Why did they tell you that? Because if you're passed out, you're no good to your kids, right? So it's one of the mantras that I use is self-care is not selfish.
That's great.
I need to take care of myself, put my mask on first to make sure that I have all the ability to take care of my kids and the people who love me. So
It's a great way to put it.
right? So I have to do that, right? And I talked about a second ago of you have to love yourself. You have to put yourself as a priority. There's a lot of people who put their kids first, put their soccer matches first, do whatever, tennis matches, and that's great. But if you are worn out and you're done, right, and you're at wit's end, then you're no good, right? So what I'm trying to put forward is go ahead and live your best life right now. Whatever that trip is you wanted to take, I keep hearing people are like, you know what? When I get that job and I have enough money, or when I lose 50 pounds, I'm going to go on that trip to wherever. Go do it now.
Yeah.
Go do it now. Treat yourself, right? And start acting like that person. Figure out the kind of person you want to be and start being it today, right? And start learning. Like pick a role model, person who's doing it already. What are they doing? What are they doing, right? Oh, cool. They're eating this. Cool. They're taking care of their body like this. Start doing that, right? And then if you start to live that life, then wear those pair of pants, eventually it starts to become you and it starts to become natural, right? So that's what I started to do is I started to incorporate all these different habits of things that I wanted to be, right? So it's about creation. It's about adding. Diets are about taking away, and it's about deprivation. You never want to do that for an extended period of time. You will end up hating yourself, right? I have built a life that I love, and I love living. So, and I love being here. So, being able to keep it up long term has not been difficult.
The motivation is there now for you, right? That wasn't there when you were like in your 40s, right? Or how did that work? Was it always like, I want to be healthy? Or is it like, here, sorry, let me reframe that question. I want to know, what were you eating then? What was
Sure.
the day-to-day like? Where you give us like some real life examples. Hey, I would eat this, this, and this when I was in that weight and I was just disrespecting myself. What was that diet like?
Ooh. I wasn't really going to talk about this, but I might as well.
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
No. I don't mind at all. I think, I don't really remember, but for about 6 to 10 years in that adult span, I battled bulimia too. And I remember going to Kentucky Fried Chicken and polishing in a whole bucket, like a whole thing in the parking lot by myself, right? And then finding a dumpster and just sticking my finger down my throat and just releasing it all, right? Because of the guilt and the shame or whatever it might be. And when you're at that place, man, right? I'm in a parking lot at night with a bucket of fried chicken, right? And it's dark and I'm by a dumpster. This is my life, really?
Yeah.
And I just could not do it anymore.
Wow.
I just could not do it anymore. So I will tell you, willpower is overrated, and it is temporary. I don't believe in willpower because it will fail you, right? What I really tried to do is create environments to where success is my only option, right? So I took out all of the snack foods and all the trigger foods and stuff out of my house, right? If I was hungry, I would have fruit and whatever and salads and almonds and this and that. In my car, all your mistakes were like, man, I'm on the road and I'm super hungry and I gotta have a snack. That's never an issue for me. I always have a bottle of water. I always have almonds. I have some beef jerky. I always have healthy options, right? Willpower will fail you, but if you create environments into which you are gonna have the best chance at succeeding, that's what you want to do.
That's awesome. I love that. I think that's great too, because then you don't fall into that fast food trap of like, hey, I'm on the road. I need to go get a Habit burger or an In-N-Out burger or whatever. And then you say, oh, I'll make that excuse for that day because I'm on the road, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then you keep doing that and then you're out of shape. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. I love that you have the trigger food. Okay, if I get hungry, I'm having some almonds. I'm having salad. I'm having just some water.
For sure.
And I'm not going to that fast food.
For sure.
Were you about to say something, Samir?
I was about to say habits. I think you just,
Habits are big time.
habits is what
Yeah.
you start changing, and
Right.
eventually the byproduct was you started feeling healthier,
Right.
and started living the life to its fullest.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to get to, was like habits are like, these small habits go a long way. Well, people don't really look at it.
Right.
They're like, oh, just one Habit burger is not going to do anything.
Right.
And eventually it just becomes a habit over long term, and now you can't stop it.
Yeah, and then people start to focus on like, oh man, that office party, that office Christmas party. Like, dude, you're not gonna like blow up like a blimp off the office party, right?
Yeah.
Your body is gonna reflect what you eat 90% of the time,
Yep.
not the 10%. Relax about the 10%,
Yeah.
right? If you want to go to
we've
In-N-Out,
talked about
by
that too.
all means, go to In-N-Out. And just have it, and don't have the veggie burger. Just don't do
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
not
Just
worth
cheat
it.
for the day,
It's not
whatever.
satisfying.
Yeah.
It's not even a great choice, right? Have the double. Enjoy it. Just make a conscious decision, right? I had it In-N-Out today. That's fine. I super enjoyed it. Eat it slowly. Enjoy every bite. By all means, go do it, right? Tomorrow, you might want to have fish for lunch, right?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
And that's fine. And you're just making conscious decisions.
Yeah.
But
You're aware of your environment, as you were saying.
for sure.
Yeah.
And it's the slow burn over time. It's not we talk about the 80-20 too. We talked about that with our soccer guest that we had on.
Yeah.
80-20 is fine as long as you're sticking to the 80.
Right.
As long as the 80
Yeah.
doesn't, is very strict.
Right.
To, some carbs and some meat and some healthy sources, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want let's dive out of diet. We've been talking a lot about diet. So
Okay.
let's talk more about the Onewheel and the community. You said when you were I'll tie this into the weight stuff, because you said you were out of shape and you were antisocial. Were those two correlated at all in your life, or no?
I think so. When I was at my heaviest weight, okay, you are so self-conscious and you can't see straight. I remember walking into Starbucks when I was at my heaviest weight. And when I walked in through the door, all I could think about is, please stare back at your computers. Don't look at me. Please don't look at me, right? And you're just so in your head. And one of my joys that I got to experience after I experienced the weight loss is I started to volunteer at the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. I started to work in the Kids in Fitness program, where I got to teach inner city kids about, health and wellness, right? And I will tell you this, I was at the first meeting and a counselor, not me, went around and just said, hey, if you were bullied for your weight, right, at school or whatever, right, can you raise your hand? And there were 12 kids and 11 hands went up. Wow. And that's when I realized that I want to be here. Mm-hmm. So I did that for several years, and I don't know how much actual like dietary knowledge I was able to give them, but I kind of treated it like Norm from Cheers, right? I learned their names first meeting, and then the second meeting, I'd be like, dude, how are you? Jesus, how are you? Right? How was your week? How did that test go? They're like, you remembered? I'm like, yeah, you told me last week, right? And these guys are the people who are always getting picked last for recess, right? And never got to learn to play basketball because it was too embarrassing, right? And so I was able to teach them those kind of things.
That's awesome.
And just give them those kind of opportunities. And frankly, I don't even remember your question, but one of the things that I feel like that I've been through that I just want to share with these guys is that it's possible, right? And that you can change. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to instill in others. It's like, if you want to change, you can do it.
And how did you have support with that change? Was your family on board with it? Or I know you talked about how that impacted your family. Was there any, talk about your family.
I have to say that I kind of didn't have that support. And it's my wife, and I've talked to my wife about this, right? She wasn't my biggest cheerleader, which just sounds weird, okay? And I talked to her about that, and she's told me later on in life is because I didn't see it, right? I loved you for who you were, regardless of your weight, so I never thought about it. So I did it for my kids and whatever else, but to my kids, I'm still uncool, right? And I am no one special, right? I hope this is a podcast for ordinary folk. But this is an everyman kind of story, in my opinion, right? And I don't know if I necessarily did anything extraordinary, except for just kind of making a decision that I want my life to be better, and I went after it.
That's amazing. And I know you're involved in something called Onewheel.
Yeah.
What is that?
So Onewheel is a electric skateboard with one wheel, and it's got a self-balancing motor. And I found that in 2020, right before COVID hit. And I will tell you, it is like I can just get on it, and I feel like I'm snowboarding on a slope somewhere.
That's so cool.
Right?
Where do you ride?
Just out there. So I ride all over the place, right? Streets, trails, up on mountaintops, along cliffs.
Wow.
It is not good, but it's so fun. And I've seen so many different things that I never saw in my own neighborhood. And so the Onewheel is an escape for me, and it centers me, and it allows me to check my head. And it takes me places I've never been, but it has also given me a chance to create communities. I love building communities. When I first started Onewheel, the community was really, really open and welcoming, especially to new riders. But eventually, it gets to be a cool kids club, right? And only the fast, trickiest riders are cool. And I wanted to create a group that is newcomer friendly. And you don't have to be a part of a clique. You're not a VIP, right? I just wanted to create the chillest community on the planet. And
That's what what it's called.
so
right?
yeah,
The brand
so,
new
so,
Chillest.
so
I was
yeah,
about to
so
say that.
so
I
I
was
just
about to
called
say
it
that, too.
Chillest, yeah. And it was super wild because it started out with 50, then it clicked to 100, and so I'm closing in on 5,000
Wow.
in a year, and it's worldwide.
Awesome.
And I get these messages. I get these messages from people who are like, "Hey, Kyle, what is it about your group? It's just different, right? Everyone is so supportive. Everyone is so kind, and it's just the spirit that we've put in it. We're here to support each other, just to have fun, no nonsense, right? No hate. There's no like, hey, man, how come you're not fast enough? How come you have those, whatever?" And we're just there to try to have a good time. And I really, really appreciate that. And I get these messages from like a guy who has like stage 3 cancer. And he's like, "Hey, Kyle, I'm no longer able to ride, but I come onto your group because it's just, I love this community," right? And I'm like, "Man, let me send you a free T-shirt," right?
That's awesome.
Right? And he changed his profile to him wearing a Chillest shirt, right? And he can't ride anymore, but his legs are too weak. But he's rocking the Chillest shirt, right? And so Chillest is kind of my field of dreams, right? If you build it, they will come, and they did, and it was super cool.
That's great.
So awesome. And you sell T-shirts and jackets?
I do T-shirts and hoodies and whatever else, and I just launched a website, thechillestshop.com, yesterday.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, I came up with a new summer line.
We'll put the
and
link in
whatever.
the
Yeah.
Check it out.
That's fine. However you want
Can
to
you
do
give
it.
a code
but-
to our listeners that
Yeah,
to get 50%
yeah.
off or something?
But yeah, we can figure something out.
Okay, great.
But look, what I love is it's just a community, right? We're all supposed to be chasing passion and having fun, right? Something that I tell my kids, and maybe you guys should hear this too, it's just life. Don't take it so seriously.
Yeah. It's too serious to be taken
It's
seriously,
just life,
right? Yeah.
right? You'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever you do, wherever you end up, you'll be just fine, right? Focus more on direction than destination, right? If you feel like you're doing something that is important to you and you're passionate about it, keep going, right? Focus on direction. You'll get to wherever you were supposed to be
Yeah.
eventually. That's fine, right? And we were talking about parenting a little bit earlier, is I stopped looking at my kids' report cards probably in elementary school, right? And I remember my son Nash came to me and someone in high school, and he must have gotten a good report card, right? Because he kind of wanted to show me, right? And he goes like, "Dad, I put the report card on the table. You didn't look at it." I'm like, "No, dude, I haven't looked at your report card since, elementary school." He's like, "Why?" He goes, "Dude, I already know everything I need to know, right? I see how hard you work. I see you studying and doing your homework well past midnight, almost every night. I'm already proud of you. I already know, right? Some grade on a piece of paper, I already know who you are. I'm already, proud of the character you showed. So nothing on a piece of paper is going to change that. So I don't need to know." He's like, "Oh, okay." Right, okay.
Oh, that's a very different approach. And a lot of people kind of in schools and everywhere, they look at the grades. They're like,
I understand.
and how do you manage that? Like, what made you decide that, hey, how could you have so much faith on the process?
Okay. So let me tell you a quick story. My freshman year, when my son was at Whitman College up in Washington, I drove him up and we decided to go on a hike. And it was a hike to where it's slightly illegal. You have to walk on train tracks, right? Illegally on where there's a live train coming
Yeah.
straight at you. And we're just walking. It was kind of a stand by me moment. And he told me about his freshman classmates. He goes, Dad, a lot of my classmates don't want to go home for spring break. They would rather stay here. And like over half the floor stayed home. I stayed at school, didn't go home. And I'm like, why?
Wow.
Why is that, Dad? And so he said, Dad, why is it that you and I have such a good relationship when maybe a lot of my other classmates don't? And that was a heavy question, man.
Yeah.
And I couldn't answer it right away. And then after about 5 minutes of walking, I said, okay, Nash, I have an answer for you, right? And he said, and I told him, I think I never prioritize anything that I had to teach you as a parent over the relationship that I have with you. If I thought that what I had to teach you, whatever it is, might damage my relationship with you, or it might damage the door to and have access to you, I shut up. Because I prioritized my relationship with you. I want to be there when you get married. I want to be there when you have a kid. And I want to be a part of your life. I want us to take vacations, when you're 20, 30, whatever age it might be. So I prioritize that relationship. Y'all will figure it out, okay? I don't really need to say that much, right? We talked about the roles of parenting already, right? You start as a caretaker, then you turn into a cop, then you turn into a coach. Oh, I'm big time. The next one is consultant. I'm a consultant, right?
Yeah.
Your life is your life. If you want to come to me and ask me, hey, I need help, or you want my opinion, I will give it to you. But my opinion or my advice or my expertise is never more important than my relationship with you. I'm not trying to create perfect kids. I'm trying to have a perfect relationship with my kids.
That's awesome.
That's the difference.
Great way to put it.
Just hearing you talk, you sound like a hell of a father.
Thank you.
And how, you sound like a great dad. And I wonder, did that come to you when you realized you need to make a change in your own life? Was that really when that came to you?
I think
that Disney moment or whatever you were talking about?
so. You guys are sport guys, right? You guys played. So
Former athletes.
Former athletes. Me too. So I played competitive tennis in high school, practiced 2 hours a day, had coaches, the whole nine. But my dad was rough, dude. I got grounded when I lost. And it was hard. And I never... They say that you end up just like your parents or the complete opposite. Well, I ran the other way, okay? And I just could not, I'm not going to have that. And I just did not want to put on, look, living life and growing up, high school, college, is hard enough already. You have to live up to your parents' dreams and expectations too? Come on, dude. Yeah. No. Right? So I'm not going to lord over my kids. I'm not going to even oversee them or, I am going to come alongside you. Right?
That's awesome.
And that's what it is, right? And these are the difference that, I don't know, maybe it's a hippie-ish approach. I don't know, right? But if I'm down for my kids, I'm going to come alongside them, meet them where they're at, wherever they're at, and walk at their pace, right? You weren't, hey, dude, you were supposed to be here by this certain time, right? And I talk to young people all the time. I should have been married by now, right? I should have had this job by now. Mm-hmm. Who told you that?
Yeah.
Really? Like, what playbook are you using, right?
Yeah.
If you are doing and creating something that you believe in, and you're doing things that you that light you up, you're doing just fine. Mm-hmm. Do that. Put something out into the world that matters. that it's going to have some longevity. And then go have fun with it. Life is supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
Amazing answer.
put it, yeah.
Before we close out, I have a couple more questions.
Okay.
We're gonna kind of change gears here. So we have a lot of young men in our audience, right?
Sure.
Who are, dealing with dating, dealing with girls, the
Yeah.
negatives, the positives.
Yeah.
You have a wife and you're happily married and you have kids.
Yeah.
So what's your advice to young men for finding the right partner?
Wow. I will say you definitely want to listen more than you talk, right?
Like I'm doing today.
Right? And I think we started with this, right? It's about them. It's not about you,
Yes.
right? When she is saying something, instead of formulating a quick, witty answer, how about you actually listen? Listen to what they have to say, right? I talked to my son about this too, and they're like, you get these ideas like, oh, we need to have similar tastes, or we have to have similar interests. And I talked to my son about this where he's like, oh, okay, well, what if I don't know anything about Taylor Swift? I'm like, great, great, because that is a forever topic that you can, it's like, what is about...
You can be a student your whole life.
Yeah, what is it about Taylor Swift? What it is about Taylor Swift songs that brings you joy? What is it? Convince me. And you will watch her light up.
I love that.
Right? And okay, this is a trick, okay? You don't want women to talk about themselves per se because they will get self-conscious. You need to get them to talk about what they are interested in and what they're passionate about. You get them talking about that, whether it's Taylor Swift, whether it's anime, whether it's anything that they're interested in, and watch their eyes light up, and then lean in and act super interested and listen. And they're like,
Act super interested, so you're not interested? Well, you gotta fake it a little bit. You gotta kind of amp it up a little bit.
do,
You gotta be
right?
more interested.
It may not light you up, but I am super interested in anyone who's passionate about anything, right? Look, NASCAR, you drive really, really fast and you do constant left turns. Okay, I don't necessarily understand it. It's not my thing, but for you to like know all the drivers and whatever, what is it? I'm super curious.
Yeah.
Right? Be curious. Find out what lights them up. What is it about that NASCAR that is so interesting to you that you've dedicated your life to it? Tell me, convince me. That is interesting, right? So it's that constant curiousness, right? So, dude, if you lean in and you appear interested, right? And you don't need to be all in right away, but you actually listen to her, right? And you say, man, I love that. I love that you care so much about that. Dude, you're on your way. You're on your way.
Are you sure not a dating coach?
We can talk about that. We can talk. You can have me back, and we can talk about
Part
that.
two. Part two.
Yeah, of
But
course.
no, look, everyone just wants to be seen
Yeah.
and heard.
We talk
Right.
about the listening stuff. Like the listening stuff is so important because you can't have a conversation and just me.
Right, right. And so we talked about this earlier. Is I learn everyone's names, right? Henry and Samir. It's important, right? So the next time I see you, when I bust out your name, there's a certain level of endorphins
So
that
true.
come,
Yeah.
right? Oh man, he remembered.
Yeah.
I was important to him. That interaction that I had with that guy, like he remembered that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah, it's important to memorize the name because it's respectful to do that. And I'm actually really bad with names because I meet a lot of people. And so recently, in my life, I'm not good with names. And they say if you tell yourself that, then that's what it's going to be. But I'm just not good with names.
So-
so I write them down.
I am not either. So I have a file. and I keep it. So I learned this in business and marketing, and sales. Sales meetings is so for whatever the company or whatever. As soon as I finish my business meeting, I'll write down, okay, Henry Fitzhugh, and we talked about golf, and we talked about him coming over the top on some of his swings, right, and how we can fix that, right? And I just remember that. So the next time I go into that meeting, I'll pull out my phone and I'll go through, okay, this is what we talked about. I'm really good at making connection. Why? It's because everyone, you keep running into people. You keep starting at first base. Hey, man, how's the weather? Hey, how have you been? Right? I'm starting from second base. Henry, how's that swing coming? Right? Because I am going,
So good.
I am going
So
from second base, right? And I'm building off of the meeting that we had before. So I'm able to make those connections so much faster. Everyone else just keeps restarting. I'm building every time.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Samir, any more questions? Before
No,
we
I
close
mean,
out?
I
This
think
has
that
been
sums
phenomenal.
up the first question I asked. And then how do you make these meaningful connections? I think you just do quick profiling on the people you meet, keep a quick tab, like, hey, this is who he is. And whenever you run into him or her, you just know what to say, I guess, right?
It's not necessarily profiling. It's important. What you say is important to me, right? When you are talking to me, I'm actually listening and I'm trying to digest it. One of the last things I'll say is I teach my kids is everyone you meet has something to teach you, and it is your job to learn it. I don't care if it's the janitor. I don't care if it's the CEO. I don't care if it's the president, right? Everyone has something to teach you, right? And it's your job to learn it. So you only do that by actual genuine connection, genuine listening. I'm like, I want to learn what Samir has to teach me, right? And I care about that, right? And so I want you to come away with this interaction like with something, right?
Did.
I'm trying to drop off something. I'm not here to pontificate and prop myself up. I'm trying to invest in your life. I'm trying to invest in your life and to give you guys something, right? And hopefully you can walk away with like, okay, I've got one little nugget to move through life a little bit easier with a little bit more purpose.
Kyle, on that note, that was such an amazing podcast,
Awesome.
amazing conversation.
Awesome.
Everybody who's listening, go check out Kyle. He's got a Chillest platform. He works with Onewheel. Join his group, ride with him. We'll put a video of his thing below and the weight transformation stuff.
Awesome.
Thank you again so much, Kyle Wong.
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next Friday, okay?